been a little while since I've recorded a video here, so I thought in this case sometimes show and tell is a lot better than trying to explain things, or if you try to explain things, actually showing what you're talking about may be helpful. In one of the forums, or I should say in the forum for Empyrion Galactic Survival, in one of the threads, we've been discussing intermodal containers, and I've been kind of threw myself in there a lot on that because it really got my interest and that stuff. Well, one of the containers that is very popular for some of us is the ZeroG module. Wonderful container. Really, for some of us, captures some of the spirit of it. However, it is not exactly a small container. So as we're discussing an intermodal container, a lot of the containers we're looking at start smaller, and we're looking at something that might be able to scale up into something very similar to the ZeroG module. However, in this case, what I'm going to demonstrate is, since we don't have currently a generic docking system in Empyrion, what we can do is create illusions of stacks of these containers. And so here on the case, I've got a couple ZeroG containers here. If I rotate my view around here, you can see that I've started placing this other one here on top of it, the other two placed side by side. The idea being here is, even though they will not dock to each other, if I was actually placing this, now in this case I'm doing it on a base, but the principle should be the same. If I had a capital vessel, and I wanted to make it look like I'm transporting stacks of containers, what I could do is use a wall, and then I dock to the wall, and then I create the illusion of the stacks, in reality docking them to the walls. So using the system to try to create the illusion of stacks of containers that in this case interconnect. I don't have the other ones right here. We're playing with stuff. There's no official discussion in the there's discussion in the community, but there's no, as far as I know, we're just looking at things. We haven't actually reached some sort of consensus on what we're going to be doing. In this case, I'm just using the ZeroG modules to demonstrate a couple things. One, using the wall to create the illusion here of the stacks. And secondly, one of the things I talked about, and I don't know what the community will decide, but what I'm looking at the ZeroG module, one of the things, the case I've been making, is to do the recessed docking, it's the recessed landing gear. The docking pads are kind of flat against the hull, but they do create little bumps per se that stick out from the hull of the vessel. And so if the bottom of this actually had docking pads, I would be getting these docking pads stuck in the very shapes of the ZeroG containers below as I move things along. However, since it has recessed docking or recessed landing gear, when it docks, those landing gear can engage to the ground. They can, there's landing gear on the wall sides. There's landing gears on top. Jennifer has put these landing gears on the four sides, recessed in. They work great for docking with, as I said, walls and stuff. I could technically dock it to the bottom side of a to some ceiling or something like that. However, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the fact that my thing here is not lined up perfectly. Now, I'm not the greatest at doing this, lining things up, okay, when I'm using an alternate view angle like this. But the thing is, because these things are landing gear and not pads, I actually have these two containers pretty much sliding on top of each other. Oh, here we go, wrong. And then I'm doing a best feel for this. And okay, I think that's down. Now we go, hold on, it's really weird looking at this thing this way. Forward a bit, doesn't seem to be docking. One of the things I've noticed is sometimes it seems like it docks right, even though they're right close like this. Sometimes it seems like I have to go put a little distance between me and the other between the two containers before we get a dock. But they still end up being fairly close, and so we should preserve most of the illusion. I believe I'm in God mode right now. This is creative. So if I click and change my view, oh, no, I didn't want that. Oh, there we go. I want to leave the seat, wrong key button. And if we go out of here, and I missed it just a little bit here, so I didn't get it lined up quite right. But if I really wanted to go back in and correct it, the advantage of the fact is remains that since those are recessed landing gear that line up perfectly with the outer hull for docking, since they're not actually pads, if necessary, I would just undock it a little bit, slide it back out a little, slide it over, try to get it to redock and stuff. They wouldn't bind, the two vessels don't bind on each other on those surfaces. So, and then if I continue to, there's a wall as tall enough, I could do another zero-G container on top and continue that illusion of the stack of containers on top of each other, depending on the height of my wall that I'm docking it to. So, well, I'm just going to cut my video there. I haven't done one of these in a little bit, and it's kind of showing, not that I was great at it anyways. So, there are my points on the case made. Oops, wrong button.